All right, hello everybody. Welcome to TAPED Crusaders, the podcast where we review every piece of shit ever made.
Seems like it right now.
And we just hit rock bottom, folks. I don't know what else to say. I am your co-host, Mike L., and as always, I'm joined by...
Joshua Mervell, and as you might know, we are going to be talking about the 1990 piece of shit Captain America movie.
Yes. Woo! Champion! What do you got to say?
I'm a little speechless.
Yeah?
I'm a little speechless. We've seen a Captain America movie before.
Yes.
And
it was bad.
That was pretty bad. What was it, from 1980 something?
79.
1979. Yeah. I didn't think the bar could get much lower than that. But the bar got so much lower that I think it is miles underground.
Yeah.
I think it's in a salt mine somewhere.
Yes, subterranean bar.
I am baffled.
Yes.
Baffled.
Okay, let's just put it this way to give context. We're going back to 1989. Batman is breaking records. It's changing cinema. People are wearing Batman shirts.
Dick Tracy
is also
selling McDonald's products like crazy.
And then Marvel's like, we're going to get into the game. We've got our little ace in the hole right here, Captain America. And hey, if Batman can have a poster that just has a logo on it, we're going to have a poster with just a logo on it, with just the shield. Okay? Perfect. And then they made the movie, and I'm not sure what happened, but somewhere along the process, someone said, this is a piece of shit. We're not going to put it in theaters. We're going to go direct to video. Go fuck yourself. The movie came out 2 years later.
Right, because it went to theaters in Europe, right?
In Europe, where they don't know any better. And
where it was billed as a comedy.
Yeah. And
Captain
basically,
America.
I saw this as a kid. Then I saw it again as a like 5 years ago as an adult. Actually, partially inspired this podcast because we had such a grand time watching it and like commenting on it while we were watching it. I thought we should do a podcast like this every week about movies this shitty. But somehow between that viewing and this viewing, it got worse. It's
really bad.
Yeah.
I watched this in high school, knowing that it was a bad movie.
Okay.
So me and my friend sat down, we put it on, and we were dying.
Yeah.
It was so much fun watching this movie. This time, I sat on my couch by myself and was depressed watching this movie. It's not fun watching it alone. It really sucks.
It makes me, like, if we would have watched it in a group, maybe I would have laughed.
Yeah,
but
I think so.
It actually made me angry to watch it because there's so much incompetence on every single level. Actually, Ian, we haven't done this in a while, but can you give us the 90-second summary of the plot of this movie in case anyone hasn't seen it?
Okay. We start off with pre-World War II Italy.
Yes.
When the Gestapo decides to kidnap a young child piano prodigy because they want to do experiments on him to turn him into a super soldier.
Naturally.
For some reason. The doctor in charge of this has qualms about using a child, so she defects to the United States. Oh, and the Gestapo kills this kid's family at the same time. They do experiments on him. She defects and does the same experiments on Steve Rogers, who is a polio survivor, I guess.
Something, yeah.
Although that's not really, I don't know, it doesn't really seem to come up. But he becomes Captain America. It turns out that this kid, they burned his face when they did the procedure on him, so now he's the Red Skull, and he's evil. And he has been killing activists and liberals like Martin Luther King and what's that president that got shot? John F. Kennedy. Yeah, he's been in charge of killing all these people. Now he's got to try and kidnap the president of the United States, the most miscast good guy in cinematic history, so that he can plant a microchip in his brain so that he can control him, and then Red Skull becomes the proxy president of the United States. Captain America stops him by playing him a recording of him playing piano when he was little, and then throws him off a cliff, and then that's the end.
That's the end.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay, so obviously,
like literally, the plot is one paragraph on the Wikipedia page.
Okay, so here's the thing. There's obviously more. Okay, but I have to point out a huge part that you skipped over. Okay.
I hoped that I could skip through more.
Okay, but here's the thing. As in the comic book, as in the new Marvel Universe version, Captain America. Okay, first of all, Captain America in the comics had many adventures. Like let's just say 5 years worth of adventures, and then the comic book was canceled. Then they revived it in the 50s. Then it got canceled again. Then Stan Lee started the Marvel Universe.
May I interject for just a moment? He had 5 years of adventures way back in the beginning. Were they contemporary? Like, did they happen?
In the 40s.
In the 40s.
Yeah, in the 40s. Yeah.
Okay.
So what happened was he was a World War II hero, and then the comic book was canceled. So when they brought the character back in 1963, I think, they were like, well, how are we going to explain why he's still like a 20-year-old? They're like, I got an idea. Let's pretend that he was on a mission trying to battle Baron Zemo. And when he was trying to prevent Baron Zemo from launching this rocket, him and Bucky, his partner, were tied to the rocket. And they fought Baron Zemo and they fell. And Bucky got killed, but Captain America fell into the ice and got frozen. And 20 years later, we revived him. And now he's the leader of the Avengers. That's the original story, okay? However, as time goes by in comics and in movies, the story was in 1964, but now it's 74, now it's 84, now it's 2024. So now the gap in between his original adventures and the new adventures, the man out of time aspect gets longer and longer, which is a cool idea.
Yeah,
it's fine. Yeah, it's a great idea.
It's something that works as it goes on. It's not something that gets dumber.
So they did that in this movie, but okay, Captain America is tied to a rocket. He's going to be launched
at the White House. To the White House, yeah.
As he's about to be projected into the stratosphere, he outsmarts the Red Skull by saying, "Hey, Red Skull," and Red Skull goes, "Oh!" And then Captain America grabs his hand, and then instead of the Red Skull taking a knife and cutting off Captain America's arm or stabbing him in the temple anywhere just to disable him or give him, he cuts off his own arm to show how badass he is. And then Captain America flies away in this rocket holding Red Skull's hand. Red Skull is writhing in pain and screaming. Captain America, the rocket, flies to the White House. And then a young boy is reading comics, I think?
No. It doesn't make it to the White House. He's on vacation in Italy.
No.
The president as a young boy is on vacation.
I thought it went to the White House.
It went to the White House.
Yeah, it went to the White House.
Did it go to the White House?
Yeah, it went to the White House.
Yeah, and I believe the boy lives in Washington because he gets tucked in by his family at night, and he's like, when I grow up, I want to be president. And then he sneaks out in the middle of the night to take pictures of the White House, and that's how he manages to take a picture. Why do I remember this?
Do they not have a moment where they say that they're on vacation? They just checked into the hotel or something?
I don't remember that.
Maybe they're on vacation in Washington. Maybe that's it.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. The White House.
So
the rocket comes down, and then defying physics, what does Captain America do?
He kicks
to reroute the rocket.
He kicks one of the fins, and then it comes so close to the ground, and literally it's 10 feet above this kid's head before it zooms back up.
So let me understand. If you're in a plane and you punch the side of the plane, you can change the route of the... Is that how the physics work?
Well, if you're strapped to the outside of it.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So he reroutes the rocket, and then it flies from the White House to Alaska?
Yes.
Which is, by the way, very far away. Alaska's very far away from Washington. It crashes into Alaska. He gets frozen in ice for like 20 years, 30, 40 years. That's fine. But then, when he gets melted from the ice, you'd think that he would wake up, be a little bit confused, wonder where he is, wonder who these people are. No. In this movie, he smashes himself out of the ice, and the first thing his instinct is I'm just going to get the F out of here. So he runs out of the room, and then they cut away. And then the next time we cut back to where he is, he's in British Columbia, I think.
He's somewhere
in
on
Canada.
the west
Yeah.
coast.
So
he's trying to find his old flame,
Yes.
his old girlfriend.
So instead of staying where he was, asking the people around him where he was, asking them for help, he runs through Canada, which is a very big country.
Thousands of kilometers.
Yes.
Also, can we talk about how he's frozen, like just at the surface of the ice, to the point that you can see his gloved hand sticking up?
Yes.
And these scientists, they cut a giant ice block out of the ground, so he's still encased in very thick ice. And at that moment, he explodes it and just escapes.
Right.
He, as close to the surface as he was, he could have done that at any point during
just
the
too
last
cold.
20 years.
He was still cold.
He was still cold. He was still in the block of ice.
No, I think he's just too cold.
It's garbage. Okay, we have to point out something else. That Ned Beatty of Superman 1 and 2 fame, Otis, plays his best friend.
The president's best friend.
The president's best friend
Right.
from when he was a kid. And then Ned Beatty, why does he drive up north? There is no reason. He just hears about, because he's a news reporter, he hears about Captain America being discovered.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to drive there. And can I remind everyone, Canada is the second largest country on Earth. And Ned Beatty just happens to be on the exact same road that Captain America is walking down when he's coming back to America. And then
The Red Skull's
goons.
henchmen
Yes.
are there too, on motorcycles.
At the exact same moment. Motorcycles, yes. So they have a motorcycle chase. I forgot about this. They have a motorcycle chase. And then Captain America is like dodging bullets. Ned Beatty pulls up and opens up the door and says, "Get in!" Captain America jumps in. They speed away. There's a couple more shots fired. And then basically for the next 5 minutes, Ned Beatty explains the last 40 years of history. And then this happened and that happened. And it's horribly written. And then everyone knows Captain America is brave. Captain America is clever. Captain America is strong.
So brave.
So what is Captain America to do? What does he do to show how much of a Captain America he does? He deceives Ned Beatty by pretending that he has to be sick. He makes Ned Beatty pull over his truck, gets out of the truck, walks 15 feet, pretends to start gagging, and then Ned Beatty leaps out of the car, just, "Hey, are you all right?" And then it just runs back into the truck and then abandons him
in the middle of the wilderness.
in the middle of the wilderness in Canada and just drives away.
Well, he's not Captain Canada, Mike.
Yeah. Let's not go too far. Oh boy.
I can't believe this is in the movie once, but this happens again.
Yes, it's
He
his
does
motif.
this.
It's his ongoing motif.
his-
And
this is just what he does.
You could argue that running away from the camp in Alaska is very similar, right? Like, he didn't pretend to be sick, but he's always just running away.
That's a good point.
Running away. The first thing he does when he wakes up, he runs away. Meets Ned Beatty, runs away.
Okay, I just want to say really quickly. Then we touch base with him again. His truck runs out of gas. Then he starts to run through the United States. To our viewers out there who are not in North America, the United States is also one of the largest countries on
the
Earth.
third largest country on Earth?
Or maybe the fourth. After Australia or China. Maybe the fifth.
It's up there.
But it's up there.
It's up there.
He runs from the border of Canada and America to, is it Florida or is it California? Somewhere sunny.
Yeah.
Somewhere sunny.
I
So that's
think
a long...
it's like Venice Beach or something.
Yeah, yeah.
That's in California.
So he runs to California, and the exact house that his girlfriend from World War II lived in is still living in the same house.
She didn't want to sell
She
it
didn't want to
because
sell
she
it just
knew
in
he was
case.
alive.
Just in
Came
case, because even though you died in the war, and I was told you were dead, I didn't believe them. So I kept my house just in case. Oh, by the way, I did marry someone else, but I still thought that you might come back, so I kept the house just so you would know where to look for me.
Phone book might have worked too.
Okay, so I don't know what else to say. Oh, by the way, speaking of phone books, that the phone book is brought up later in this movie. Can I just say that the MacGuffin of this movie
Is there a
that
MacGuffin in this
There
movie?
is a MacGuffin. All the characters in this movie want to find out the Red Skull's real name. That is actually the MacGuffin of this movie.
You're right.
Now, what information will it give them? I don't know, but everyone's obsessed. Captain America's obsessed. The president's obsessed. In fact, the president or Captain America and the girl go to Italy, and after they've lost their first battle, they're sitting in like a cafe, like an outdoor cafe, and they're like, oh, maybe he's in the yellow pages. This is how bad the writing is that they're not given any clues. There's no journey. There's no discovery. Mm-hmm. It's just the characters sitting there admitting that they have nothing and trying to figure out how they
have we tried Googling this guy? Yeah. Oh, that worked.
Piece of shit.
Red Skull. No, nothing. So, and the thing is too, like, even when they do find out, Captain America isn't the one to do it. Like, Sharon, I don't know if they call her Sharon Carter.
No, but it is
Sharon something. Sharon goes back to find the purse with
I forgot about that.
His daughter's
right.
passport, right?
Yeah. Which the cops just let her have.
Yeah.
Oh, you found it. Thank you.
Which is also confusing because how did she know that was Red Skull's daughter?
Yeah.
Right?
Oh boy, look.
but even then, it's like Captain America doesn't do anything to solve it. Like,
actually, that's a good point because we talk about these movies like
she's the one that records the thing. Yeah.
Here's the thing: is again, we're not expecting genius. We're not expecting Shakespeare. We just want things to make a little bit of sense. And when you have a superhero, you'd think that I want the superhero to do things no one else can do, or to think of things no one else can think of. But in this movie, the first time he becomes Captain America, he doesn't really. The first thing that happens is he becomes Captain America, and then the bad guy shoots the doctor dead, which he doesn't prevent. And then later on, when he goes to Italy into the castle, it's like there's a whole thing about if you're gonna reveal the superhero in their costume, just let it happen. Dramatic lights, dramatic music. Don't have him take out the suitcase and then unfold it and be like, this time I'm not going to fail. You remember how bad that was? Mm-hmm. And then we see him putting on the costume and it's garbage.
But that's not even the reveal of the costume. The reveal.
This is the second time. But talk about the first time.
I think they're on an airplane or something and they're flying to Italy and they're just talking about how the doctor who performed this experiment is also the person that designed the costume. And that's it. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, well, she sucks at camouflage. Well, she loved the red, white, and blue. Yeah. Despite the fact that she's Italian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good point. And the other thing, too, is that in that scene, he actually says, oh, so who else is coming with me? And like, oh, you're by yourself. Now, to me, again, he's supposed to be a superhero, so there should be more of a confidence. Like, I don't need anyone else. Shouldn't it be that? Shouldn't she be inspired by him?
I think even at the beginning, they told him that he's not going to be doing anything.
Right.
They told him he's not going to be going on any missions. And then she gets shot, and they're like, well, you're our only hope.
And the reason why he's the only hope is because she didn't write anything down. Everything was in her brain.
Yeah.
Which is such a weird way. I mean, it kind of explains why the Red Skull is horribly disfigured if you're just kind of winging it.
Yeah.
I think this is the button I push. I think I said this to this. I think it's 2 liters of this chemical. I guess I got it wrong. Yeah. Sorry.
By the way, speaking of the Red Skull, okay, so in the comics, he's German. He's a Nazi. And I'm assuming in this movie it was, hey, my rich uncle has a castle in Italy. We can shoot there for 3 days. Rewrite the story. Okay, fine. So in the World War II scenes, he is the Red Skull. He looks like the Red Skull. But then he gets plastic surgery. But then as soon as they see the picture of him, they're like, that's the Red Skull.
What's the point?
What's the point of the plastic surgery then? Why did they just leave him the Red Skull? It's so stupid. Anyway, this movie makes me angry.
Like, why did it have to be like a disfigured face after he got plastic surgery? He's rich.
It's either Red Skull or perfect. Why this in between? You're right.
And then it could also be a whodunit then.
Right.
Give them a reason to try and figure out who the Red Skull is. He's changed his face.
Good point.
We don't know what he looks like anymore. It's like, okay, we need to find out the identity of this guy.
At the very least, do like a reverse or a double reverse Joker from Tim Burton Batman thing, where you're disfigured, but then you make your face up to look normal, and then
something, yeah.
You can splash something on him. His makeup can come off. Like, oh my God, it's the Red Skull.
So, okay, to go back to what Ian said about the end of the plot. So the climax of the film, broad daylight, crappy lighting. They're on this castle, and the Red Skull is he going to launch another missile? I can't remember.
I think he's going to blow up the world.
Blow up the world.
Oh, he's got a nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
Is this at the end?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a nuclear detonator that he takes out of his piano, which is outside
on top of a castle.
Yes.
But right at the edge of the
castle. Right? I mean, I don't envy whoever's job it is to keep that piano in tune. But he's got this detonator, and he makes a comment about how Southern Europe will be uninhabitable for the next 50 years or something like that.
And they beat Red Skull not by like force, not by cleverness. Well, it is. What do they do?
Well, they play the recording of his family being murdered.
Yeah.
Which,
Martha, why did you say that?
Yeah.
It's basically that, yeah.
But even that doesn't really do it. It distracts him for a moment.
Yeah.
It distracts him long enough for Captain America to pick up his shield and throw it at him.
The thing is, though, it's not even just that. He kind of just gives up after that. He like puts the gun down and he's like, oh my, and then we have time to see Captain America like do, and then pick up the shield, and then even afterwards he's like talking to him, and Red Skull turns around and he has time to like it's not even like a quick moment of like what's that boom,
right?
Like, it drags on, it feels like.
Although that does lead to the only scene in that movie that I enjoyed.
Ooh, which
him
is
falling off the
him
cliff.
Falling off the cliff.
Oh,
just like I couldn't tell if they threw a dummy
or a person
or if they just sort of like
it really killed the actor at the end.
If they just drew it looked so silly.
Yeah, it
this little tiny man.
Yeah, you're right.
Just rotating, and it's like it's as if you had like a person emoji. And you just like wrote and
animated it. Yes,
put it on a path and just rotated it as it fell.
Yeah,
it looked so ridiculous. That's the only point that got a chuckle.
This whole movie is ridiculous. It is baffling that nothing in this movie works.
No, you're right.
Nothing. The
The
action sequences, the chases,
the
dialogue, the acting, the makeup. The sound design, the score is awful.
It's awful.
Like,
I noticed
nothing in this movie is good.
Okay,
it's bad.
And here's the thing: is like I've worked on like low, zero budget film sets, and this is how bad this film is. It's a zero budget independent film. However, sometimes in a zero budget piece of crap film, there can be something that comes out of like the charm of the actors or some kind of magical interaction. But even with professional Hollywood actors like Ned Beatty and the bad guy from RoboCop,
Ronny Cox. Why is Ronny Cox the goddamn president?
Well, here's the thing. I'm sure he could have played it well, but in this movie,
well, he just showed up.
Yeah,
right. He didn't put anything into it.
No,
but Ronny Cox is a villain. Sorry, buddy, you're typecast.
Yeah,
it's not just RoboCop. It's Total Recall. It's
right.
It's however many movies. I don't know if he's ever played a good guy. And to see him as the president,
right?
Not to mention the whole lead up to him being the president. Remember that little montage of newspapers?
I forgot about that. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
1950s. Here's a newspaper of current events, and then zooming in on whatever the guy's name is,
which we don't even know at that point.
No,
you know what I mean?
Like him, like a moment earlier.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Why does it fucking matter? Who cares about this character? Why do we have to have the president of the United States be the supporting character in this story? It is so idiotic. And then
we need the president there because we need a line where Captain America looks into camera and goes, Thanks, Mr. President.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's
he looks at the camera twice in this movie. He breaks the fourth wall.
It's garbage.
I'm okay with that a lot more than I am okay with this meaningless, like this little kid that happened to see Captain America fly by. Now we need a montage of everything that he does leading up to the point of him becoming president. I don't give a shit about any of that.
Exactly.
It just has to be the president. And we know who the president is without having it explained to us step by step.
Good point.
Oh, he was elected to Congress first. Yep. Well, that makes more sense. Otherwise, it might have been a plot hole.
Yeah, that's okay. And here's the other thing too: the music they play during those montages doesn't match up to the era. It doesn't. Like the 60s music sounds like 70s rock, and the 50s music sounds like 60s. It's all bad. Like this movie was cobbled together by someone who's has never worked on a movie before and doesn't know anything about history or movies or music.
Well, yeah, no, the soundtrack sounded like somebody pulled out their Casio keyboard and played the demo.
Yep.
It's awful.
It's garbage. I agree.
And so were the songs on the soundtrack.
Yep.
Like the soundtrack, the songs played in the background felt like a parody.
True.
Of like it's ridiculous. The singer is narrating what is happening and how the characters are feeling. Like there's no like subtext.
Sure.
Well, my girlfriend was left behind and she grew old without me. It's like I cannot believe what I'm hearing right now. Like
let's talk about the actors. The lead actor, Captain America, is. Do you have your Wikipedia there?
I got something here. Where's the cast? Matt Salinger. Salinger. He just looked old and tired and like he didn't want to exist.
Well, no offense, but yeah, he was terrible.
He was awful.
Yeah.
So uncharismatic.
Yep.
So flat.
Yep.
He brought no fun or charm to this.
Nothing. Yeah.
What else can I say?
He didn't have any of the qualities that you need to be Captain America. Nothing.
Didn't look like Captain America.
No.
Didn't look like Steve Rogers even before the Super Soldier Serum. He was just a guy.
I
don't understand why.
He wasn't particularly handsome. He wasn't particularly. I just called up his Wikipedia page real quick. He's an actor known for such films as Revenge of the Nerds and Captain America.
Oh boy! See, yeah, clearly, like they probably paid him like a few $100. First of all, I don't even know how this movie was made, but I can only assume it was like a tax write-off. Like we got the rights for Captain America. Let's just get it in the can, right? Like
some sort of scam.
Some scam, exactly. Okay, enough. He sucks.
Interestingly, I just spied this. 2 people who were both considered for the title role. 3 people. Dolph Lundgren and Arnold Schwarzenegger were both considered for the role. Val Kilmer was offered the role.
He would have been great,
but he turned it down.
He made the right move.
No shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
imagine an Austrian
Captain America, right? Yeah, come on. But here's the other thing too. We didn't even talk about his costume, which is comic book accurate, but still looks like shit. And by the way,
his ears?
Ian, did you notice what his ears were made of?
No.
Not human ears.
Play-Doh.
No, was it plastic?
It was like
plastic, or some type of
like awfully molded
it was
ear
not
on the
his
outside.
Ears. That was part of his costume.
Okay.
Yeah.
This movie is worse than you thought.
I noticed something was up, but there's just like so much stuff that's up.
Right, yeah.
You lose it after a while.
And just like even looking at his costume, like yes, it's comic book accurate, but like the wings are rubber and plastic and like it just looked terrible. I actually think the 1970s costume and actor were better.
I agree.
No,
every single thing about the 1970s film was better.
Yeah, it was.
And this was previously the worst movie we'd ever seen.
Yeah,
now I'm fondly remembering because at least like this movie was just so flat and uninteresting and bereft of anything.
Yes.
At least the other movie was ridiculous in a way that was fun.
Yeah.
Right? At least we have stoner Steve Rogers living in his van. It's
right.
Like, hey, I drew you a picture.
Yeah.
We have ridiculous scenes like the oil tanker dumping oil all over the road to try and kill him. Right? Like, what is up with that?
At least there was some imagination.
It's something. It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's some. You're thinking people sitting around a table in a writing room just being like, how about this? Oh,
yeah.
That's too crazy. Let's do it.
Yeah, you're
and
right.
And then a 45-second shot of Steve's van spinning out of control.
Yeah.
And then spinning out of control. And then spinning out of control before launching itself off of a mountain. But then here,
there's nothing.
There's nothing. We've got a couple little car chases.
Okay, we got to keep talking here, quick. The actor that played Red Skull, what's his name?
Oh, who cares? Let's see.
He was garbage.
Red Skull was I couldn't even.
He at least got the memo.
Scott Paulin
to play a villain, but he wasn't. He was nothing. Like,
he's known for playing Captain Red Skull, Captain America.
Yeah, he was garbage.
His Wikipedia page just says Red Skull.
Oh boy, that's bad.
That's it. And Turner and Hooch as well.
Oh boy. I saw that in the theater.
Okay, yeah.
But he was garbage. There's nothing else to say about him. He was garbage. What about the girl, Sharon? She was, no offense, she was not great.
No, she couldn't act.
No.
Did you notice? All right, they're both played by the same actor. Yeah. Her and her mom.
I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Wait, did I know that?
Bernice and Sharon are both played by the same actor.
How did I not know that?
This the dumbest thing ever. Bernice, very, very prominent birthmark right here. When she gets older, they put her in old age makeup and the mole is gone. But now her daughter has the mole in the exact same spot.
Okay.
What are you thinking?
Yeah, exactly.
What are you thinking?
Yes.
Put the mole there or cover it up in Bernice's early scenes.
Right.
So that you don't have to continue to cover it up because Sharon does most of the work in the movie. But it's genetics that the mole passed down from mother to daughter. But what's more, here you go. It's like,
they didn't put thought. They didn't put any thought into the script. I can't see them putting.
No. But it's like it was backwards.
Again, there are very dumb people that sometimes have money that make movies. That's what this movie is. They got the rights to Captain America. I don't know how.
Probably with money.
Well, with some money. And they made this movie, and it is a piece of garbage.
Nothing made sense.
No.
Like, why did Steve Rogers have to run across the entire city at the beginning of the movie to find Bernice? To come take a picture at the party?
Yeah. Hold on a second.
He's like, hold on a second.
Don't take the picture yet.
I'm like, it must be like, in
the bathroom or something.
Yeah, or like next door neighbor, or like girl next door type thing. No, he like checks out, where is she? Goes to her house. Not here. What? Let me run down to the corner store. No, not here. He runs around all around town to find her. Finds her at the docks, and she's just looking out at the water like,
no.
Oh, hey, Steve. Like it's.
Well, it's written backwards. It's like, well, we have to show everything. We have to make it dramatic, but it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, like
at all.
I know it's such a weird thing to like
fixate on, but no, I know what you mean.
But it's like it's like
a microcosm.
It explains the whole movie. I feel like why are you doing this? What is being told here in the story? And it's nothing.
You know what? That's a good point, because even like, I think the thing I fixated on was the whole running from, you fixated on running around the city. I fixated on running from Alaska to California, but just the whole, like, okay, let's just break this down. We already know that that's stupid, but the idea of like, we have to have this Ned Beatty character and he has to like drive up and meet him and he has to explain everything. But like, if you just, why though? Why did that character have to exist? And like him just telling him all this information and then trying to convince him like, oh, I'm not lying. Like, wouldn't that have been more dramatic to just see on a TV or I don't know what? Like, again, waking up in a bed and being like, just so you know, it's been 40 years or whatever. It's just so much more dramatic than the way they did it. Everything they did, the way they did it was terrible. Every single every decision they made was bad.
Yeah, like why wasn't Ned Beatty's character the one that saw him, and then the president doesn't believe or something?
Yeah,
as a kid, and then he grows up. He's like, you're seeing things like this photo could be anything, and then when they're older, Ned Beatty's character's like, I'm gonna prove him right. Like, you know what I mean?
Or
like, something.
Anything,
so there's
better than what
something, and then Ned Beatty's character has like a purpose in this.
Yeah,
but he's just the president. They couldn't have the president roaming around Canada, so they had to make another character to do that.
Even the fact that the president is the one that gets kidnapped, and the way he gets kidnapped is so idiotic, and just every step of the way, like, it's just, okay, let's break it down. This movie seemed like it was written by like teenagers. Like the intelligence of teenagers, the logic of teenagers, or like first year film students. Like absolutely no regard for. I'm not like I know it's a superhero movie, but if you're gonna write a story about the president being kidnapped, even if this is a kid's cartoon, there has to be some semblance of realism.
I don't remember reading a comic book that had a worse story than this. You know what I mean?
No,
like
I that's what's even more frustrating. Like for us, as like, because you've never read a comic.
No,
no. But like, I grew up in this time, and I had read Captain America comics that were good by Mark Grenwald and J.M. DeMatteis and Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. And I'm like, why don't you just adapt these comics instead of just making up your own?
So what you're saying is that there is an existing body of work to draw upon?
Oh, yes. There was like 400 issues of Cap like to adapt, and they just didn't.
The only thing that they took was the characters' names and very, very, very little of the fact that Red Skull took the super soldier serum and was deformed, and Captain America took it and he wasn't. That's pretty much all it is.
I don't remember if Red Skull took the super soldier from it, but I don't remember.
So he did. The whole point is that the super soldier serum only works if you're pure of heart, which is why the rat is all disfigured, and why
that was a pretty horrifyingly.
Yeah.
But okay, actually, you know what? I'll give 1 point to this film. I gave it a 1 out of 10, but I'll give it a 1.1 because at least that rat was a puppet and not like bad CGI.
Well, this was 1990. Bad CGI would have been
like, I know it would have been like the equivalent of what they use like a used car commercial rotating logo. Right. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Like a bowling animation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But it also like it was real, but it also looked stupid.
Yeah.
So don't
and pointless
and pointless. So don't focus on it for 20 seconds.
I know.
And
just
the
show
other
the
thing
background.
too is like, why even show that? What's the point?
I think it was to foreshadow the Red Skull's deformity.
Right, but the Red Skull was a child when they did that to him, so it's not even like he was a bad person.
That's a good point.
And it was like, oh, this is what's going to happen to you if you force yourself. It's like no, like. He wasn't doing that to himself, so why are we foreshadowing that it's going to disfigure him? You know what I mean? Like it doesn't add anything.
And if the rat was disfigured because the rat wasn't pure of heart, and now the kid is disfigured because it was the kid not pure of heart, because I can't imagine a more pure of heart character than this little child prodigy who's plucked away from his family during a piano recital. Like he's not playing jazz music or anything, sinful.
He's way more pure of heart than Steve Rogers ever was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I know.
Steve Rogers was kind of like a little prick when he's just like annoying little kid. I don't know.
This movie's actually offensive because it's so bad.
The more we talk about it, the worse it gets.
Yeah, it makes me angry. So here's the thing: is we've reviewed 34 movies now. Ian, do you think this is the worst?
This is by a country mile the worst movie. This just dunks on the 1970s Captain America.
Yeah.
Dunks on Doc Savage.
Yeah, it does.
Dunks on
Scarlet Pimpernel.
Oh, yeah. It dunks on everything, and it doesn't do it in a way that is in any way interesting.
No.
Right?
No.
Movies can be so bad that they're good. Everyone knows this. This movie is so bad that it should not exist.
I agree.
And I like you, I was getting angry as I was watching this, and I did the little trick where I watch it in VLC and I speed it up a little bit, like Mercifully, it's only 97 minutes.
Sure.
But
It's a long 97 minutes.
It was a long
though.
97 minutes. 15 minutes in, I'm like, fuck this.
Yeah.
Bumped it up to 1.2 times speed. I had it up to 1.6 times speed by the end of it, and it was just people zipping around.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I found the scene where the Red Skull falls off the
so
mountain.
funny. Right, yeah.
But no, even then, like it probably took me about 60 minutes to watch this, and it felt like an eternity.
Yeah.
And it's 4 a.m. at this point, and I'm angry that this is my night.
Yeah.
Like this, I'm like I could be washing dishes or
I know,
or
anything.
scrubbing
Cutting
the
your
floor or
grass. Yeah,
something.
I know.
I could be staring at a blank wall.
Yeah.
And having a better
watching
time.
the old Captain America
From
again.
1979. I know. Oh boy. And let's be clear. Even Punisher, Punisher compared to this was a real movie.
It was a masterpiece.
Yeah.
It had an actor in it.
Yeah.
And everything.
Yeah,
I love Ronny Cox, so I'm not counting him as an actor
Sure.
because he didn't do any acting in this.
But he was okay. He was okay.
He was all right.
Yeah.
He was all right. He was
Ned Beatty was okay. He wasn't good, but he was okay.
Sure.
He was probably on
There's
set
also
for 2 days.
the vice president who was the dad from The Christmas Story.
Oh shit! You mean
Right?
the actor who was in the Kolchak Papers, which is the precursor to X-Files, who then came back for an episode of X-Files. I actually hate that actor. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I actually think he's a horrible overactor. I'm sorry.
You know what though? I appreciated him in this movie.
Well, at least he was acting.
At least he was the vice president that was rubbing his hands, sneaking around.
Yeah.
There was like something that he was doing.
Yes.
Like he had a motivation. Maybe the only character with motivation in the movie. Even the Red Skull's fucking around in Italy in a castle.
Right.
What does he care about blowing up the world at this point?
Yeah, that's a good point.
It doesn't give him anything else.
There is presumably some sort of backstory there where the president is trying to push through some environmental reform.
Yeah, which was
and the vice the vice president is like, oh, you can't do that. Watch me.
Yeah.
And that's that.
I guess that was a subplot.
And does I guess he enlists the help of the Red Skull
of the Nazis.
Because that's what you do when I don't want green energy. I'd rather talk to fascists and implant a brain chip. That was also, I rolled my eyes so hard at that.
Right.
Well, why would we kill him when we could implant him with a brain chip that I have invented? Literal dialogue. Literal dialogue. Literal dialogue.
You know, that might be the most believable part of this movie, though, is somebody in the U.S. government siding with the Nazis.
Yeah, that's a good argument. Right? Yep.
You know,
art imitates life.
Yes. I think we're gonna leave it at that. This is the worst movie we've ever reviewed. This was Marvel's answer to Batman,
right?
And this is why. I mean, I'm not gonna say this is why Marvel went bankrupt. But if the people who own the company thought that this was a good movie, it proves that they were morons. And they deserve to go bankrupt. However, they didn't. They all.
Do we know what the budget was for this?
I looked at that I looked for that for a second. I couldn't find anything. Probably because the number was so small. I don't know.
Right.
No, I ain't seeing nothing.
All I can say
if anyone
is,
knows the right end.
It was probably very low. But growing up in the 80s was a rough time because I used to look at the back of the magazine. I think it was Comic Scene. It used to have a list of all the comic book adaptations that were coming out. And every month I would flip through. And at the back of every issue, it would always say the same thing. Spider-Man, Captain America, Submariner, She-Hulk, Silver Surfer. And none of them ever came out. This was one that came out. Punisher was one that came out. And they were both garbage. And this is one, it took a while because it didn't come to VHS until like two years later, but it was pretty rough.
It took them that long to release it on VHS? That's crazy.
Yeah, I think it released in Europe first, and then it delayed for 2 years in America. But yeah, it was that bad.
I'm surprised it saw a North American release. I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Considering that somebody had to have seen it and reported back like, this fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Let's not embarrass ourselves with this.
Well, just so you know, coming down the docket, there are Marvel films that were so bad they were never officially released.
Oh,
but we are going to be reviewing them on this
I'm excited.
podcast. So be sure to keep watching every episode, and be sure to keep coming out every week to Meteor to watch better movies than this. Tonight we watched Baby Driver.
Yeah, it was great. I was so excited to record, and then I realized we were talking about this.
Yeah. But we watched good movies at Meteor with Champion, and as well as our other pals. This will be released after our next episode, next viewing. But Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan is next.
Can't wait.
And then in the near future,
although that's not on this podcast.
No, it's on Laser Brains. So be sure to check out Laser Brains. And then as well as other movies as well, right? So, and then we've got other podcasts, right, Chuck?
Yeah, you can find all of our podcasts over on our website at thecomicbooksyndicate.com. All of our podcasts are video formats. You can see us, see the comics that we're talking about as we're talking about them. So go check us out on our YouTube channel as well. Leave us a comment, leave us a like, let us know what you guys think about the stuff that we're talking about. Let us know what your favorite part of Captain America 1990 was.
We'll just leave it at that. Until next time, see you later.